let's be real for a second. Have you ever been on a project that started out with a super clear plan, but somehow ended up as this chaotic mess of delays and budget nightmares? Well, today we're diving into the one project management phase that's designed to be the guardian of your plan, the process that keeps all that chaos at bay, the monitoring and controlling phase.
So, to kick things off, let me ask you this. If you had to put your finger on the #1 reason projects totally go off the rails, what would you guess? It's not always a bad plan or even a weak team. The real culprit is usually something that just kind of sneaks up on you.
And that culprit is this right here, scope creep. This is the absolute villain of our story. It's that thing that happens when a small request here, a tiny little addition there, slowly starts to make the project balloon out of control. Pretty soon, it's way beyond its original goals, its budget, and its timeline. It can completely derail even the most perfectly planned projects.
But hey, where there's a villain, you know there's got to be a hero. In our story, the hero isn't a person. It's actually a process. So let's meet that hero in Section 1, the project's guardian phase. This is the process built specifically to stop scope creep dead in its tracks.
So what is this phase really? Well, think of it as the project's heartbeat. It's the ongoing process of tracking progress, making sure that everything the team produces actually meets the specs we all agreed on, and, this is crucial, formally managing any and all changes to that original plan. And the most important part? This phase isn't something you wait to do at the end. It kicks in the moment the team produces its very first deliverable.
We've all heard this phrase a million times, right? The customer is always right. Well, in project management, this isn't just some nice customer service motto, it's a fundamental rule. A deliverable, no matter how done it looks to you or your team, is not actually complete until the customer formally inspects it and accepts it. That sign-off, that's the real finish line for any piece of work.
Okay, so we know what this guardian phase is, but how does it actually fight back against the chaos? What are the specific tools and processes that keep a project on the rails? Let's dive right into that in Section 2, keeping chaos in check.
I mean, this image just says it all, doesn't it? It's like looking at two possible futures for any project. Over on the left, with change control, you've got order. The project's on budget, it's on time, and you're delivering a quality product that does what it's supposed to. But on the right, well, that's pure chaos. You've got budget overruns, missed deadlines, scope creep running wild, and you might end up with a final product that's totally unfit for use. The stakes really couldn't be higher. Now, this control isn't just magic. It's maintained through 8 core processes. Let's look at the first 4, which are all about actively controlling the project. First up, you've got quality control. That's literally inspecting every single deliverable. Then there's scope validation, which is getting that official customer sign-off we just talked about. Of course, you have to control the big 3, scope, schedule, and cost to stick to your original promises. And finally, resource control, which is all about managing your team and your materials so nothing goes to waste. The other 4 processes are all focused on monitoring, basically keeping a constant, watchful eye on everything. The project manager is always monitoring communications to make sure the plan is working and everyone's in the loop. They're monitoring risks to spot trouble before it starts. They're controlling procurement, which means working closely with vendors. And super important, they're monitoring stakeholder engagement to keep all the key people bought in and supportive.
So when somebody inevitably asks for a change, you can't just wing it. Every single request has to go through a formal change control program. This system has 3 non-negotiable parts. First, you need a unique process that's built for your specific project. Second, you have to keep a detailed change log that tracks every single request and decision. And third, every request, no matter how small it seems, has to be submitted on a formal change form. This is the system that brings order to the chaos.
Of course, a system is only as good as the person who's actually running it. And that brings us to the person right in the middle of it all, steering the ship. So let's move on to Section 3, the manager in charge. During this phase, the project manager becomes the central hub for everything. They have to be accessible to their team at all times. They have to run meetings that are actually effective and move things forward. They absolutely must manage change using that integrated system we just talked about. A great PM also shares lessons learned along the way and, maybe most importantly, they act as the final line of defense, making sure no defective work ever reaches the customer. So what does it really take to pull all of this off? What separates a good project manager from a truly great one?
It's not just about knowing the process, it's about mastering the people side of things. Let's break down the essential skills in our final section, your ultimate skill set.
The Project Management Institute, or PMI, the folks who literally set the global standard for this stuff, they identify 11 essential interpersonal skills. And just look at this list. From communication and leadership, all the way to conflict management and trust building, you start to see a really clear theme, don't you? This job is way less about managing spreadsheets and way more about skillfully managing people, politics, and personalities.
And beyond that official list, there are 2 more skills that are honestly make or break. The first one is the ability to truly listen and understand what your customers and stakeholders actually need. And the second is mastering collaboration. Building the bridges you need to get team members, vendors, and customers all pulling in the same direction. That's how you get to a successful outcome.
So in the end, you see, this phase isn't just another box to check. It is the active, living guardian that protects your project from collapsing into chaos and makes sure you actually deliver on your promise. The only question left is, for your projects, is that guardian in place?